All right. Okay, I'm gonna pull up a document real quick, and then I'm gonna share my screen with you. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. Let's do this thing. Okay. So can you see my
Hi.
screen? Hey.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Awesome. So I made this just for you. Okay. Because
Okay.
in our conversation, you didn't say this, but I kind of got a hint, and you're that you wanna get as paid as quickly as possible, right?
Always. In
Okay.
all things.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna give this to you. We're gonna go over this, right?
Okay.
I've made different links throughout this entire thing. Okay. So
Okay.
everywhere that's highlighted are different links. Some of this stuff may seem redundant, but I promise it will make sense. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll just start at the very, 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 very top. So when we're talking about wholesaling, as you may already know, right? 80% of it is always going to be marketing. Okay.
Hmm.
Majority of the deals will actually come from following up. What typically, and this is just a rule of thumb for marketing. I didn't make this up. I forgot the guy professional who actually coined this, but um, the average consumer in our modern era needs to see an advertisement at least 7 times minimum before they take action, right?
Yes.
So with us keeping that in mind, we cannot expect that when we call or text someone for the first time, that they're going to immediately say yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Um, so statistics that typically work is for every 100 people that we make contact with, that can be someone responding to a text message, and this could be someone literally saying like "screw you," right? That still
Hmm.
counts as a contact, all right? That means every 100 people that we actually get in contact with, whether it's on the phone or via text message, we get a response from them. We should expect at least 3 people to actually kind of raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I'm willing to sell my home," or "I'm willing to allow you to come and take pictures or take a look at it," right? Only
Hmm.
one out of those 3 at that point will actually end up being a deal that's worthwhile. All right. So
Hmm.
the thing that I want to focus on today is to take action. And we're going to log, one of the things we're going to do is I'm going to log into PromptStream. I'm going to give you, I don't know if you have an account with them or not. Do you have an account with them yet?
Not yet. I was gonna
Okay.
talk to you about that, but I'm willing to learn.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you what they call like a junior account or whatever. And
Okay.
you can use that account to run comps. All right. I'll give you the
Mhm.
log and all that stuff. And I'm also going to, from PromptStream, give you your first couple hundred of leads. And we're going to go on the PromptStream website, log in. You can see over my shoulder. We're going
Okay.
to filter out all the things, and then I'll send you that as a CSV file as well. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this 100 that drops down to 3, that drops down to 1, is basically the same thing that we have where it's considered to be a marketing funnel. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I tell people to actually start to make phone calls, they think that they're making sales phone calls, and that's not the case. All we're doing when we make the initial phone calls is that we're just trying to gauge if someone is interested. There is no selling that goes on. Now, I will say every now and again, there's always someone, who's just a total butthole, and they're like, "Well, how much can you offer me? I can't let you see it until, you give me an offer." Okay, there are
Hmm.
crazy folk like that. But most people, they understand that you at least need to see it. They understand that if you can't come and physically see it, that they can at least send you pictures via email or text you pictures, right? Most
Hmm.
people understand that's not something that's out of the norm. So we have to understand that on a traditional marketing funnel, someone becomes aware of their problem. They then consider if that may be the option or not. Through a conversion, that's when they're willing to test it out. And then activation was purchase. This would be more or less someone willing to actually sign the agreement for wholesaling. Okay. So when we're targeting people that are in more of a distressed situation, there's not really a whole thing of them being aware. They're kind of already aware. Like if someone's
Mhm.
behind on their mortgage, it's not like a, oh, I had no idea. They're aware,
Right,
right?
right,
What
right.
we have to do is see if they're interested enough to consider that we have a solution for them.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
in typical marketing, you have all these, you'll have these 6 or 7 steps, but for what we're doing, you really only have about 3. It's that consideration, the conversion, and then ultimately the sale or the activation. Okay. I think this is a great diagram because it's showing that as the funnel gets smaller, obviously there's less of a percentage return of who's actually going to activate there, right? And so that's what we have with that 100 to 3 to 1.
Right.
This right here is a planner that you can use. I'll open it up real quick just so you can see what it looks like. All right. Oops. Wrong one. Not wrong one, wrong window. Okay. Let me share it again. And now. So this is a planner that you'll be able to use. This is what I use for myself. And what helps me with this planner is I'm able to put a lot of things in perspective and actually get the key items that I have to do. So on the right-hand side is loading on my end, but on the right-hand side right here, allows me to actually keep up with my KPIs. For what
Okay.
we're doing, if we want to start for wholesaling, the KPI is always going to be making contact with someone. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this is the booklet, like same thing that you have there. The only difference here is that every 2 months I will go to Kinko's or Kinko's, FedEx, whatever. I'll send this entire document to them via email, and then I'll let them know that, hey, I want this spiral bound, and I want page number 3, which is this page. I want 40 or 60 pages of page number 3, and I want this page number 3 in black and white, and the only thing I want in color is this thing, right? That's what I personally do for myself, and this is what it looks like. Like I use it, and I just go throughout it because it helps to keep my KPIs for myself. And we'll talk about using the spreadsheet with it as well. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. Okay. So we got that. Now, if we don't want to spend any money initially on phone calls, the thing I always suggest is you use Google Voice.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever, as you know, don't ever, ever, ever contact these people using your personal phone number.
Yeah.
They are crazy as hell. And it's not really their issue. It's not really their fault. A lot of times it has to do with because they're in a situation, right? If someone's
Yeah.
going through a divorce, right, then maybe, who knows? So it's not their fault. So a free option is to use Google Voice. You would call Google Voice using either your cell phone or using the app or on the computer. Now, the thing that I use for myself the most is Mighty Call. Mighty Call also has an app. It's about $29 a month. It kind of goes higher as you add more people to it, but it allows you to have a team use the app. In addition to that, Mighty Call will automatically record all of your phone calls. So the benefit here is if you call a seller and you're like, man, I think I said something that I shouldn't have said, or I think I could have done something differently, Mighty Call will allow you to download that call and send it anywhere you want via email or sometimes via text as a call recording. And what that will do is that if you send it to me, I can listen to it and I'll be able to give you feedback. Okay.
Okay.
Google Voice does allow you to record phone calls. It's not as predictable. It's not as good. It's really only beneficial if you're receiving a phone call, but you have to change the settings, and this is the directions for changing those settings. Okay. But Mighty Call will do it whether you're receiving a call or whether it's outbound call.
Okay.
Now, all these things are finding leads. These are all typical things, right? We know about driving for dollars, about blah, blah, blah. But something that people normally don't do is whenever someone is producing content on YouTube or on Facebook, what you want to do is you want to reach out to the admins for that group or for that channel. For every YouTube channel that's out there, when you go to the actual page, you click on the about section, and it will give you the contact information for the person who is over that YouTube channel. And that's a great way to get more JV opportunities. Another great thing as far as getting buyers is actually by creating different Craigslist posts. And that sounds weird, but it works really, really well. And I'll show you how to do that with different examples.
Can I ask you a quick question? Going back to YouTube channels, what type of content are you targeting?
So, and we can do it for right here as an example. So on YouTube, what we would look for is not necessarily for sellers. We're looking for other joint venture opportunities. So I'll go to YouTube real quick, and I might type in, how to invest in whatever. And then whoever shows up for that, I would reach out to that person on their page. So let's see.
Okay.
How to invest in real estate. And I'm going to click on, I guess, maybe the first person that shows up real quick. Well, not the first ad. I'll click on this one. All right. I know Graham doesn't necessarily do real estate per se, but let's pretend that he's someone that actually does real estate every single day. Then I would click on his about page, and then it's going to give me normally gives you at least an email for somebody. Zoomed in there.
I understand. This is for partner opportunities.
Yep.
Okay, I get it.
So that's just a way. Let me exit out of that before it slows down our connection. Okay, so let's go back here. But the most important part, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to do a list pool, right? We're going to set up a list pool, and we're going to use this, right? Divorce, absentee, distressed, delinquent, or death. This is where most of your opportunities will actually come from. Will be to target individuals in these type of situations. All right. Okay. So we're going to use PropStream. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to log into PropStream real quick. And we're going to get that first list going. Hold on a second. Let me log in. Oh, so PropStream is down for a second. Let's try to see if it's an error.
And you have tried REI Pro and you didn't like it?
There's nothing wrong with REI Pro. I just know that it can get pretty expensive.
The only thing I liked over PropStream, and I haven't dug into either one, is the CRM piece for tracking afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you like everything else with REI Black Book?
I mean, from what I could see on the outside looking in, and I'm just trying to minimize the number of tools that I need, and PropStream didn't have the CRM, so that's it.
Okay. And REI Black Book also allows you to send emails, which is beneficial too. Whoa, and it looks like PropStream might be having some issues. Let me see what happens if I go right to the website. .com. Okay. Have any questions, please? Violation. Oh, I wonder if he tried to log in. Okay, maybe not. All right, let me see. Let me see. All right, let me call him first. I had allowed another person to log into my prop stream, but
Wow.
I don't think that's that bad of a thing. Not to have that kind of issue. All right. Okay. So when I get back to prop stream, we're gonna pull a list as we're together.
Okay.
And what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to figure out which properties are a better match, right? So at the very end of this list right here, right? The best way for us to get a quicker deal done is by knowing exactly who we're going to quote unquote feed the property to at the very end, right?
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
And so by knowing who the end buyer is, I would prefer that you use a lot of hedge funds instead of smaller mom and pops. So one of the hedge funds that you'll use is this company here called CFR. And so we'll go to that website now. And what CFR does that I like is they're one of the few that will allow you to enter in the address, and they'll actually tell you right then and there whether or not they're interested in the property.
Oh, wow.
So it saves
Okay.
you a lot of time. So when we're
Yeah.
on prop stream, you know exactly, even if someone is going through a divorce, or even if someone is delinquent, or even if someone meets all these criteria of being in a distressed situation, you still have the ability now to say, man, yeah, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so is going through a rough time, and they probably would be willing to sell their property at a lower rate. But you know what? My number one hedge fund isn't going to purchase it, because these guys, they're going to purchase within 2 days, right? Another investor who's a mom and pop, they may still purchase that property. It's just going to take a little longer, right? They may have to get financed and all that stuff. Where
Okay.
these guys, they won't. So you might be wondering, well, how can I find out whether or not we'll go here first, whether or not, what type of properties they normally look for, right? So if we go to Maps Indy real quick, we're going to click on property cards, and we're just going to type in their name real quick on the property card area first. Supposed to be called prop stream.
Should I be seeing your screen change?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Here we go.
That's okay.
Let me go back here. Okay. So let me go here, which is to the website. So the link that I gave you is this one right here. And
Okay.
when we will be able to type in any address, and they're going to tell us whether they're interested. Now, what they're doing is they're basing it off of the square footage. They're basing it off of whether it has adequate amount of parking. And they're also basing it off of whether, different types of schools that are near it. They focus a lot on blue collar working areas.
Okay.
Okay. So going back to here, we'll click under owner, and we'll just type in SF3. Make sure I'm messing that up. SFR3. Enter. Okay. So here are a list of the properties that they own within Indianapolis, right? It's a lot of properties there. And so what we can do is we can just take one of the addresses. Let's say 2359 Cullen Court as an example. We'll click there. I'll open the PDF. And what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight the address and we're going to click another property that's near it, just so we know exactly what they're looking for. So this one right here, copy that address. I'm going to go back to maps.indy, and now I'm going to click on the GIS map. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in here on the search bar on the left-hand side.
So that you went to the assessor's office to get a list of the properties that they own, so they're buying and holding? You're on mute.
Okay. As a matter of fact, 90% of hedge funds that are, basically in the United States, they do a lot of buy and holds.
Okay.
And majority of them do their buy and holds in Indianapolis.
Interesting.
Yeah. So despite what, like, what they advertise and whatever, the Wall Street Journal or whatever else, they do a lot of buy and holds. What they'll do is they'll purchase the properties for cash, and then they will refinance them. And then with the line of credit, then they'll go ahead and buy various companies. So let's see here. Must be spelling it wrong. Maybe it doesn't have, there we go. Doesn't have the north with it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit so I can get an idea. So a property is located in Warren Township. Looks to be, I guess, what people consider the far east side. And so I'm gonna click on another parcel. It's close to a charter school. Click on this parcel here. And I'm gonna type this address in. There we go. Okay. So what this will let me know is, as I wait for PropStream to answer the call, what this will let me know is that this area is an area that they have interest in.
Okay.
So on PropStream, when it gives us the ability to circle an area, whatever else, I would circle this pocket and a few other pockets. I would probably say anything close to Warren Central, right? Circle that pocket, and then I would actually do a list pool and a filter based off of that. Like I'm looking for people who are either divorced and or absentee owners, blah blah, but within this type of area, because I know that this company, they're willing to pull the trigger on something for that, right? And then the good thing is, even when you go through here to fill out all the information, you would, if let's say you contact the people. They say, yeah, I want to sell. They send you pictures, or you go and take pictures, right? You put it into a Google folder. You would put the link for the pictures here, and then you just put wholesale right there. And they're 100% okay with it.
Okay.
Right. So another company is called American Homes for Rent. It's American Trust. And it's a publicly traded company on Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange. And same strategy here. They will do the same thing.
Okay.
Another company is called Conrex.
Is that CONREX?
Yep. Yep. And so both American Homes for Rent, they have a bigger quote unquote footprint. So they actually, they still might have their office in Castleton, like behind the Castleton Mall. And Conrex, however, they're going to send a realtor out. I want to say the lady's name is Mandy. They'll send a realtor out. She'll, with REI Black Book or PropStream, whatever else, you'll run your comps, but they're still going to have her run the comps as well, just to kind of verify. And then, for example, so we type in Conrex just to see what type of properties that they're looking for, they normally get, and we can randomly select one, and then you just do the same process.
Okay.
Cool. All right, let's go back up here. Okay. All right. Okay. So the key thing here is when we make that initial phone call, it's a marketing call. We want to see if they have interest. You may follow up later on to set up the appointment, but our actual sales, quote unquote, won't take place until before or after the inspection. And so if you're gonna go through the hedge funds, the great thing is they'll allow you to send pictures and or schedule the appointments themselves, right? And they'll actually give you the offer of what they're willing to commit to.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And then you'll be able to back into the actual the actual contract. So one of the companies that I use to actually make phone calls for me is this company here called Lead Mining. So what they'll do, and it depends on, whatever you're comfortable with as far as a budget, but they'll have people make phone calls on your behalf. So whether it's REI Black Book or whatever else, you pull that list down, and then they're going to make those phone calls directly to whatever you told them to make those phone calls to. They're also going to go ahead and send the text messages if you want them to. So if you're going to make the phone calls on your own, do it yourself. I've added a flow chart here, a script, also added a repair quote unquote sheet that you would use if you are going to walk through the properties yourself and you're going to take notes. I added that repair sheet there as well. And then also a checklist and a spreadsheet to follow up with the phone calls that you're making. Okay. So what I do at this moment is I actually outsource the phone calls. I'll have them make the phone calls for me in the text messages, and then they'll send me an email right when. So if they call someone right now and someone says, "Yeah, I'm interested," they would send me an email within a minute or so. Then I would have that follow-up phone call with them and basically just schedule the appointment to actually see the property or request that they send me pictures.
Now, so the objective or the call to action for the phone calls is to get them on the phone with you. They don't set the appointment for you?
They can if you want them to, but all you would want to do is give them access to maybe your calendar, or let them know that, hey, I can do any day on Wednesday or any day on Friday. Other than that, I have to call them back to schedule.
Okay.
Yep. And so another tactic that works well is having what's called voicemail drops. So for that, I use a company called Slide Broadcast, and it's very inexpensive. So if we're talking about 200 leads, it might cost all of $20 to deliver those 200 voicemail drops.
Okay.
Yep. And so this right here is a referral code where they'll give you your first 100 voicemails free using that. Okay. All right. So REI Black Book also gives postcards. So does Click to Mail, and then also so does PropStream. Email marketing, you know, you can use Get Response or Active Campaign. I use Active Campaign primarily for the CRM and to also build a pipeline. Get Response is great because you don't have to get a confirmation or a basic confirmation to email someone. So a lot of times someone quote unquote subscribes to a list, they have to click, you know, blah blah. Get Response, you get through all that. And so, as you know, what happens when you're pulling those lists, it gives you the option to get their phone number and their email. You want to get both.
Okay.
When you have their email, that email will allow you to upload it to, it will allow you to upload the email to Facebook and YouTube. And both Facebook and YouTube from the email will allow you to create a custom audience.
Yeah.
And then you can basically advertise to those same people over and over again.
Talk to me about how you're using Active Campaign for a CRM.
Oh man. So Active Campaign has something called, it's called Sales Pipe. And actually, let me see. I'm gonna log into it real quick.
Because I've used every email platform that you've mentioned and then some.
Okay.
And I've not seen Active Campaign used the way you're describing it.
Okay. All right, let me log in. I'm gonna put my phone on speaker just so I can hear some of what PropStream's saying. Okay. That thing. Okay. Okay, so here we are at PropStream.
Okay.
On the left-hand side, right here under deals is what the pipeline would actually end up looking like. And so PropStream, Active Campaign allows me to have, I think you can have like up to 20 different pipelines. And then you're able to obviously progress each person through the pipeline. You're then also able to add notes. It also will send out automatic text messages through Active Campaign based on someone's response. So if I send someone an email and they open it, but they don't click, I have certain parts of it scheduled to where it sends an automatic text message to them.
Sure.
And vice versa. And then of course they give grades, right? So if this person had one click through, blah blah, it gives a grade of what he did, what he didn't do, and all that stuff. And so then you can make notes as far as who you're calling. So with Mighty Call is also a platform where I'm able to make phone calls either through the app or on the computer. I'll have one tab up for Mighty Call and one tab up for Active Campaign, and I'm able to make that quick little note as I'm talking with someone. And then if I need to, I can copy and paste the link with a download of the conversation right into the CRM. And it's really great to use. It's a great tool.
Interesting. Okay.
So the next thing that we want to make sure that we're able to do, and I guess Active Campaign, not Active Campaign, Mighty, whatever this thing is, they still have me on hold. Okay. So those are the things that I would use. So Active Campaign, like I say, is good. Get Responses is good as well, but it's also costs less money. So if I had to start all over and if I was on a budget, what I would do is I would do Drive for Dollars. I would manually write a list of at least 50. And then I would begin to send text messages manually. And then I would pay to have the voicemail campaigns or the voicemail drops. And so if I'm starting off, let's say I would try to get more than 50, but let's say I only have 50, then I would have to invest about maybe $40 total.
Using those methods.
Yep. As a matter of fact, with that, with the promo code from Sly slide broadcasts, you actually wouldn't use any money outside of your time driving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is what I would do first. So the only thing that you would need to get started is I'm going to send you a list from PropStream. So I'm on hold with PropStream now. So that's the only thing that you would need.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell me how you are. So this is one, I'm going to call it a marketing campaign where you're doing the driving, then following up with the text mail and voicemail. Tell me kind of what the optimal campaign looks like if you do have a couple dollars to invest. So you've got, so for instance, you get a list. What's your ideal list size? Let me start with that.
So
if you're in PropStream, yeah.
Yeah, ideal list size is 500.
Okay, got it. Good. So you take that 500 and you have the calls going from the call center.
Yep.
And what else do you like to get the most efficient number of hands raised, or to get the best number of hands raised?
So I like to have the actual phone calls, text messages, and then the voicemail campaigns going.
Okay.
And
No
then
postcards?
no postcards. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't do postcards as much. And I actually have it in here. Postcards are good. It's not like they don't work, but I consider postcards to be the best thing for follow-up.
So then let me understand follow-up. So follow-up is, because I'm considering all of this
As a one-time thing?
Well, no, but I'm thinking about it from a standpoint of you're stacking. So, or maybe you're doing it all at the same time. Maybe I should stop talking. Let me listen.
No, it's fine. You can ask questions. So the reason that I like to have the phone calls, text messages, emails, and webinars going all at once is because I'm not having to redo it every single time. And the way I look at marketing is I look at it like a popcorn machine. You put those kernels in, but you don't really know exactly when those kernels are going to pop. Some kernels never pop. And so what I want to make sure that's happening is even when someone doesn't answer the phone, because what happens is when you use the call center to make your phone calls, they're gonna want to know from you what phone number that you want to use. So you can give them any phone number that works best for you. One of the phone numbers that I give is a phone number that has a live person answer the phone. And so that lets you know that, okay, boom, they called so-and-so didn't answer, whatever else, so-and-so called back later. That's someone that I need to follow up with. Because I'm just trying to get as many people to raise their hands and say yes. I only use postcards when I'm actually being more direct targeted. If I'm driving for dollars and I see this property looks quote unquote bad, I'm gonna send them a postcard, and I'll have them in a postcard sequence. But I personally do not just mail out 2,000 or 3,000 postcards at once and then just hope for a response. I know when I've spoken to other sellers that what they'll do is they'll collect the postcards, and when they're at a point to where they feel as though they can't do anything else, they will just pick a postcard. And whoever's postcard they get, great. So I understand that for many of them, it's easier to actually get them on the phone. And if I can get them on the phone and at least have some kind of interest, and I want to build rapport with them on the phone, I have beaten my competition.
Yep, got it. You mentioned the marketing rule, and by the way, I'm loving all of this. This is my background, so I've been in marketing for the last, So the funnel you showed a minute ago, that's been my life. But here's what I'm thinking: this seven touches is what we used to say before somebody pulls the trigger. So I'm just trying to put this in the framework or process. So you have this list of 500, and at one time you have this call center calling through the list. I assume that they're only calling once. I don't know if they're calling more.
So they'll call 3 times within a week.
Got it. All right. So you've got the phone calls happening. I'm taking that same list of 500, and there are text messages that are going out, and there are voicemail messages. This is all happening in the same time frame, correct?
It's happening in the same time, but like I'm not hitting start and all those at the same exact time. So like,
There we go. Okay.
but yeah, they're all happening simultaneously. Yes.
Okay. All right. And then we've got email campaigns happening
Yep.
to the same list of 500. We might do a Facebook remarketing campaign. And then you mentioned webinars, and I haven't heard how you're using webinars. I would assume that's after someone has raised their hand.
No. So actually, in one of the follow-up text messages, I will send a link to a webinar.
Okay. All right.
And so as we're talking, I went back and tried to like log in a PropStream. So we're in, and
Okay.
they never picked up. So there goes that. Okay.
Mm.
But no. So by like text message, I'll send you the text message template. It's going to be about 8 different messages that you'll send just via text message.
Okay.
And one of them will have a link. And let me show you what that looks like as far as it's like stop my Indy. Okay. Foreclosure.com. So I'm going to give you this website template. But this is one of the templates that I use. And I'm going to click here. So I give them a link, and I have the link, it's like a redirect. So it says something more like, stopmyforeclosureindy.com/webinar, and then it directs them to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll enter in their name, whatever else. What's interesting, what I always what I laugh about with other people is you take your time and you create this webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And the webinar, it gives good information, but most people don't sit through the webinars.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting just to me with like video sales letters and webinars is that people will enter them in as their, like, to them, that's their validation point. That's the craziest. So they won't watch it. They won't watch it through, but they'll enter the information as their validation point. Then when you call them, they're like, oh yeah. It's like, okay. So like someone who's in foreclosure with this webinar, it actually tells them 2 things they can do to cost them no money to stop the foreclosure. One thing they can do is they can call their congressman and request for a letter from the local congressman. It costs them nothing. You just call your congressman, right? And then there's like another thing where they have Indiana has different programs to help people in foreclosure.
Okay.
So you've already given them the actual out, but they didn't take it.
Yeah.
So then when you follow up with them, they're like, yeah, I really just want to get my situation handled. It's like, okay. So, but yeah, so I send this to them. This is a platform I use called Webinar Kit. It's a lot cheaper than, man, all the other ones that are like $500 a year or whatever. This is like $70 one time for life.
Okay.
So this is what I use as a follow-up in one of the text messages.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So let me go to PropStream. Boom. All right, here we go. So we know from looking up a property earlier that this is an area that this particular hedge fund is interested in. So I'll type it in. There we go. I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to zoom out to get a bigger view. Let me make this larger. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. And I am just going to take this little pencil. Right there. And right here, just as an example. Okay. Hit search. And I'm going to filter this out on a few factors, right? Things that we know for certain that we're looking at. So one, we know that we only want single families. And I'll put residential as a classification as well. We don't want anything that's on the market. We're okay with it possibly being someone in foreclosure. So let's see what we get if we put pre-foreclosures in here. We have 20. And then let's just click on one very quickly, just to see. All right, so we know for a fact that we would want to reach out to Mr. Harrell, right? So I'm going to save this. This is, I'm going to give you 20, but I'm going to save this one, and then we're going to go back to the filters, okay? So click here. Add list, straight list. Today is, second. So we got pre-foreclosure and single family residence. Okay. So that's one. And we're going to go right back up here to the filter. And we'll take this pre-foreclosure one off. Boom, cool. We'll look for ownership, looking for individuals only. And now we're just going to look for absentee, preferably someone who was out of state. All right, so we have 300 there. Not bad. Let's see if we can filter that down just a little bit more. Let's just see if any of these will work. Okay. Wow, no one has a lien who's out of state or has an active bankruptcy. Wow, that's a blessing. All right. Let's do it a little bit differently. So, knowing that typically we'll want someone to have at least some kind of equity in their home. Okay. So I'm going to put a 60% LTV. Actually, that's incorrect. I don't want it to be minimum. I want that to be maximum. Put 60%. What we got? Still not bad. Okay. We're going to filter that out some more. Let me do it as people who have owned their home for a minimum of 2 years. That's better. So these are our absentee people who have owned their home for at least 2 years, have equity of have a loan to value of at least 65%. And let's see if we can get this a little more zoomed in.
Why do you want to?
Well,
why do you want to do more?
Because I do know that from a loan to, so if someone has a loan to value of like 80%, I know that for most investment properties, we need to be around 70% of a max, or maybe even 65% of a max. And then I want to make sure that it's as targeted as I can, not as targeted as like that we can't do anything else with it, but I want to make sure that I'm able to get rid of some of the fluff. So I don't want anyone who's like an LLC or something like that, like an investor. I don't want that person, but I do want, because someone here is probably still an investor. I click on this one. This person probably still is an investor, but they have the property in their name. So yeah, this person lives in California. This most likely a rental. But I want to try to find additional ways that we can narrow it down, so that we know that it's as targeted as possible. We don't want to waste too much time on it. Yeah. Property characteristics. We'll put a bedroom of a 3, because that is something that Hedge Fund prefers, a 3-bedroom. And I think that's good enough. All right, cool. So this would be list number 2. So SFR, absentee, Warren. Yeah, and what else do we do? Oh,
65%.
All right, perfect. All right, so the last thing that we will have to do real quick is we'll take both of those lists and just do some friendly skip tracing.
Did you say friendly?
Yeah. It's really scary if you think about it. It's like, wow, they can get all that. So that's 1. I'm gonna add this one. Yeah, get in there and get into their privacy, unfortunately. Like, man, yeah, this one it should have filtered this one out, this LLC. It's still gonna bounce it out. They're not gonna be able to find some of that stuff on there. There we go. All right, let me pause it real quick. All right. Accept. Okay, cool. So there we go. And cool. All right, that should be done fairly simple. Now, I know with REI Black Book, it's kind of the same thing where they have like a buyer search, right? PropStream has the same thing. The only thing that I would suggest between when you're using these, right, with the buyer search, is that they're not always accurate, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that person will buy it. The hedge funds are a little more predictable, and they're quicker to give you a yes or no. Whereas when you deal with a mom and pop, they have to go through the whole, well, let me see it. Let me run some numbers. It's like, okay. Yeah. Let me run some more numbers. Like, my goodness. Let me ask my contract. Let me get my contract to look at it. It's right. Okay. Whereas these guys, they're gonna be quick to say, yes, yay or nay. So okay. All right. So we know exactly what the goal is for this week, right? PropStream is going through, and they're getting the contacts information for you, right? You are going to choose what works best for you. Okay. Yeah. So you can do any combination of any things that I mentioned, right? Whatever marketing plan works best for you is fine. Okay. Yeah. Is that good? Is that cool for you?
Absolutely.
All right. Talk to me. What do you think might be some of the hurdles for this week?
Yep. Let me get. I have a kind of some questions that have been rolling around.
Okay.
First of all, you said in this document, and you scroll past it. I don't know where it is, but you said the website doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
not at this phase. Like no one. If it's someone who's in like unfortunately, if it's someone who's in a really bad, because first off, the people that are going to sell you their homes or a property of theirs, someone who's going to give you their inheritance basically at a
Mm-hmm.
discount, they're
Mm-hmm.
doing that because there's another motive there. So what they're more concerned about is being able to connect with you,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can actually help them get their problem solved. So for them, it might be like, hey, can you go ahead and can you buy this? That's more than motivation. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really going to be to look you up on Google or whatever else or LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know that sounds weird,
It
but
does, and especially for me, again, marketer, digital marketer. You're killing me right now,
you
because
can okay, you can still do it. As a matter of fact, so if you so the website that I showed, the foreclosure website, the template there is still a WordPress plugin. So
yeah,
if buy your domain, connect it to WordPress, which as you know is free, you just
yeah, yeah,
plug in that plugin.
yeah.
Um, you can edit it as you want, but I mean that's it, right? Now,
Okay.
some people do use on Carrot, and that's basically like a landing page, as you know. It's
Yeah,
like
I've been looking
four
at Carrot.
pages. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And
Okay.
that's fine. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you, if you're able to have a phone call with someone and you're
Mhm.
able to relate, like for example, let's say it's someone that's like, oh, honestly, my grandmother just died, and I don't, that's not really a big focus of mine. And you're like, oh,
Mhm.
I understand. My grandmother passed away, 2 years ago. I can get it. There was a house, also that we are dealing with, blah blah blah, right? All those
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
That does more than okay. All right. Well, let me see your credentials. I
Yeah.
know it sounds weird, but from the emotional standpoint that a lot of these people are in, their biggest concern is, can you help me and can you relate?
Okay, I can do
Yep.
that. I can absolutely do that. All right, that was one question. I'll figure that
Okay.
out. The other was this, and this is kind of down the road, but I'm thinking down the road. So
Okay.
you go into the home, and let's take the hedge fund piece out of it. This sounds glorious, but let me take it out for a second. When I
Okay.
did this before, you go into the house, you strike up the deal, and when I did this before, as I said, it was buy and hold. So it was all about the agreement and then getting to the closing table. Well, wholesale is brand new and I'm looking forward to it. But are you, number one, do you have agreements that you'll share? Or if not, I can find some online for the purchase agreement. And then, second question is, I understand that a lot of wholesalers are doing double closings where you agreed to sell me your house for 50. I found a buyer for 65. I'm just going to take all of this to the title company and close in the same day. Is that typical or no?
Yeah. Yes, that's typical.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And I would suggest that that is done if I would suggest that you double close if the assignment fee is going to be more than $5,000.
Assignment
Some
fee. You
Yep.
mean
So
the amount that I make?
yep, the amount that you make. So
Okay.
so one, I'm going to give you templates for purchase agreements, right?
Okay. I just
Yeah,
want
I got you. I'm not going I'm
to
not going to have you out. No, no way. Okay. That's next week, but let me show you what it would look like and all that stuff. So it would be, let's say we'll go here first. And I have it so that you'll be able to access it online. Yep. .pa. So my head. And my son left his iPad down here and it is going off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me close this. He's at school or at whatever. Okay. Whew. It's driving me crazy. Okay. I can still hear it. Wow. I can hear his little alarm. Okay. So yeah, so you'll have access to all these. This is what this is what I wanted to go over for next week. But basically, these are all purchase agreements that I use for different things. So I'll use one for an assignment, and then I'll use another one as a BC, is what you're talking about, which is double close. So I'll have an AB, quote unquote, AB agreement, which is just between you and the seller. And then I'll have a BC agreement, which is between you and the end buyer. That BC agreement is one of the key things to the BC agreement is that the buyer has like 48 hours upon them signing that agreement to have their money either wired or placed at the title company. And at that point, their money is considered to go hard or to be non-refundable. That helps you, right? Obviously, because the last thing you want to do is you built such a rapport with the seller and then to let them down. And then it also will help you as far as like, if you agree, when you have the rapport with the seller, you'll notice that they don't care about the earnest money amount. But every now and again, especially if it's in like a probate situation, and there's always this one uncle who thinks they know it all, and they might be like, oh no, what's that? I mean, man, Leland, this has happened to me. Leland, look, man, we cool now, but look, brother, you're gonna have to do more than $1 earnest money, right? So okay, well, what are you suggesting? I mean, at least, I'm thinking $1,000. Like, okay, $1,000 fine. So $1,000 is written on this agreement, but well, for the end buyer, you might write with the end buyer $2,000, right? So that God forbid, if he or she backs out on the end, you're able to give or gift that $1,000 to that family, because on your agreements with the family, that earnest money is refundable. But what I do is I'll still give them, the money and say, hey, listen, it didn't work out this time. Maybe we can try again later, that kind of thing to build rapport. But and then the other 1,000 is for you, right? So that you don't feel like your time is 100% wasted.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, I use all these agreements separately. Another example is when it's your property, or if you're going to buy a property and do another double close, or maybe hold it for a day or so, let's say 2 days, or let's say a month, then you have a certain agreement for that, where you're now the seller and it's already pre-written for you, so you don't have to rewrite everything else. Just got to fill it in. Yep. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, last question, and this is just again one of those they've been running through my head. When I did deals before, I was going in taking people out of this distressed situation, and they walked with a little cash so that they can start over, right? Is there any cash to the sellers in these transactions, or is it really just about, let me take this headache of a house off of you?
For wholesaling?
Yes.
Okay, so for wholesaling, it's cash in the transaction, but it's discounted cash, because what they're coming to you for is speed of a transaction. Essentially, that's really the biggest thing that we can basically market to people in that situation is, hey, I can help you by having a quick transaction. I can help you by getting this off your hands very, very quickly. And so that's our biggest thing is the speed portion there. But so it's going to be discounted
for $5,000.
They're going to walk away. Hopefully they're going to walk away with something. They may walk away with, I'll give you an example. It's just kind of sad. There was, as an example, there was a lady who had a property on Capitol, like 46 in Capitol. And what ended up happening was that, she had to sell it for nursing home issues, right? Because you know how the nursing home is. So like, hey, you come here, we're taking that, right? So she had to get rid of it. Well, she basically only walked away with a little under $20,000 for that property. After Chase was paid and so forth. But what makes it worse is that the purchase price was $40,000. As far as what I had given her as a seller, it was $40,000. I didn't know, that she had a mortgage that high. But anyway, it was, so she only walked away with $20,000 for the home. The home, if it was fixed up and repaired and well maintained, that home ended up selling for over $350,000.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. It's like a gut. It's like a huge gut punch. So
Yeah.
with the wholesaling piece, that's what you're gonna run into when it's the situation, it's the timing of the situation that brings forth the actual deal. If she
Mhm.
if she didn't have to get her sister into a nursing home, there would have been no motivation for her to even want to sell it so quickly.
Mhm.
You know, she had to sell it before the year was up and all the other stuff. So that was the only motivation there.
Okay.
If
I
that
understand.
wasn't there, yeah, her sister would have lived in that home, and that home would have continued to be the way it was, and it would have been that way until she passed away. No issues, and you know, no nothing there. So
Okay.
they do walk away. Hopefully, they walk away with money. However, I even had a seller unfortunately walk away with like $300
Oh, wow.
when because they had so many different bills and all this other stuff that this guy only walked away with $300.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, I understand. So my focus for this week until I talk to you next week is really to get these marketing pieces in place. And yeah, yeah.
So real quick, you don't. I know that because you have a marketing background, I don't want you to get super creative. Okay. So to make it more pinpoint, to give more of a pinpoint to it.
Mhm.
If you want to send text messages, send text messages. If you don't want to send text messages, then have someone else send text messages. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
If you want to call, you have the script to call. But if you don't want to call, don't call.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Because even though, for example, unless PropStream might be done with this list already. So with this particular list from PropStream, we'll go here to contacts and see if they're finished. We don't want to be in the habit of only going through a list for 1 week. As you already know, right? We want to make sure that we're able to follow up with that list more than once.
Mhm.
Oh, it's still processing. Okay, so this is your list right here. It's just still processing though. But yeah, once this list is done, I'm going to export it and send it to you along with the PDF that we have as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So yeah,
All right. So get started.
get started. Get started.
All right.
Make contact. The most important thing, as far as quote unquote, numbers, is just make contact. We have to
Okay.
know that for every 100 people that we make contact with. So
Mhm.
I remember talking to a guy and he was like, Leland, I made 100 phone calls and I didn't get anyone to say they're interested. I said, you made 100 phone calls? He's like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, so how many people did you speak to? I only spoke to one person. I said, okay, so you made contact with one person. He
Mhm.
said, okay. I thought you meant 100 phone calls. Like, no.
Yeah.
make contact. Now that could be, like I said, text messages, email, whatever, but make contact at least that. Now, if you have any other questions, text me, call me, whatever else. But yeah, this is our goal for this week.
All right. Very good. So you're going to send this to me?
Yep.
Awesome. 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 All right. Very good. Well, I'm excited. I'm going to get started.
Okay. Well, I will talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.